Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Overwatch League. Your Sunday just keeps getting better. The San Francisco Shock take on the Dallas Fuel in moments. San Francisco cruising through stage 4, Matt. They've had a pretty easy time of it. They're the kind of team that can put 2 MVP candidates on the bench and still win every game. And the Dallas Fuel, they haven't won a game since
they're cruising as well. Just cruising in the wrong direction.
That's right.
They have not, outside of their win against the Justice and against the Florida Mayhem, they have not beaten another opponent since April. So it's been a very long time for the Dallas Fuel, getting a win outside of Washington or Florida. So they,
cruising or sinking.
And well, they're still in a position, they're not mathematically eliminated here, so they still could make a run at the playoffs.
So notice when we use that word mathematically, it means that it's quite tough for them to get in. There are a myriad of different things or conditions that need to be met for them to make it through. But they are still fighting for that opportunity. They have to go up against, though, a stage title holder, a team that has sort of 2 functional rosters that can sort of dominate up there with the top 3. I mean, Shock's still undefeated in this stage. I don't really see that changing too soon.
No, the Shock have been very good throughout the stage, and Rascal and Architect have been very strong as the damage dealers. They played Strike a little bit at the beginning. You've seen Sinatra come in at times, but now Architect and Rascal seems to be like the duo they've used over their last few matches to great success. They've had Smurf in the main tank role, and then you keep that support core very strong, and then the off-tank has Choyobin, who's been fantastic on the Roadhog. So they have all the pieces necessary to adjust to a meta like this and play well.
Yeah, some important victories against the Shanghai Dragons, who they had to play twice this stage. They were the team that beat them in the Stage 3 playoffs, that final match. So they've definitely solidified their revenge against them now, and it's only on the up and up. They're definitely setting their eyes, I guess, towards the season title. But it's funny, this is the team that subs in a completely different roster in that Stage 3 title match. This is a team that makes big changes to their roster, sometimes inexplicably, but they're getting success with this current setup.
Yeah, like I mentioned, I think Architect's one of the bigger reasons why they're able to see success with this lineup. He's been great, whether it be like a Widowmaker or some of the other. He plays so many heroes, Architect. I think that's why you have him and Rascal in as his damage dealer core. You can see like both of them play McCree. They both can play some Hanzo. They both can play a little bit of Widowmaker, Pharah, Genji. Like their hero pools overlap, but they also can play everything. It's not like one of them only plays projectile and one of them plays hit scan. They can cover both roles.
Ton of overlap throughout the entire roster, and maybe that sort of Batiste Zen is an option for them as well, that really aggressive support lineup. But let's bring them out to the stage, the players who like to talk plenty of smack and then follow it up when they get in the server. It is the San Francisco Shock. And God forbid a team has confidence about themselves, Matt. Not many really speak up about these kind of things, but the Shock don't really mind. They have their detractors, they have their fans in equal measure. It's never really bothered them.
Yeah, and they come out with that same roster that we've seen use over the last few games. So no Super, no Sinatra in the starting lineup, as maybe we'll see them as the series goes on. As we've seen both those players mixed in, but they'll have Architect and Rascal in terms of damage dealers, Smurf and Choyobin in the tanks, and then Violet and Moth round out the supports.
Yeah, really well-rounded team, though. I mean, Moth definitely is the cornerstone of this roster here in Choyobin, along with Violet, definitely in the mix for this entire season so far, really providing a crucial backbone that does allow now, in a meta that involves damage dealers, Rascal and Architect to start to explore the space that they're given a little bit more. Smurf has also come in and, primarily on that Orisa role, it still looks quite good. Obviously, this is the team that has players like Super and Sinatra on the bench. Although we had a chat to them beforehand, there's a chance we might see them today.
And they're still, I think, the favorites right now. Even with the meta change, I think they were the best team. When you looked at 3-3, and I think as we moved into roll lock here with 2-2-2, they're still holding down that top spot.
And their opponents, of course, still fighting to keep the fire alive. Let's welcome to the stage the Dallas Fuel. Closer leads the stage. He's like, is my team with me? Let's hope that doesn't carry over to the game. He is very ready to get out on that stage. You see the damage dealer duo bringing up the rear. It's Zachary and AKM. Also, recent happy birthday to Harry Hook. He's now 28 years of age. Older than I am. Feels good, man.
They'll have Harry Hook in the flex support roles. This is a role that Unko is playing a lot, but Unko moves out of the lineup. They play Harry Hook now. You see them sometimes swap between like OG and Trill. OG will get the start here today. Then AKM and Zachary is the damage dealers. You've seen Taimu mix in a little bit more, but you're going to have AKM here today.
And of course, in their last matchup against the Los Angeles Gladiators, it was a bit of a heartbreaker for the Dallas Fuel, Matt. Decent start, but it fell off. AKM sporting his new facial trimmings. Showed up on the Reaper. And he definitely looked like an individual to keep an eye on here. We've known him as more known for hit scan, heroes. I don't think he thrived for the Dallas Fuel at a time where he couldn't really play a lot of those DPS heroes, but you see there, above league average and a couple of important stats up against the Gladiators, even in a loss.
Yeah, and really everything. I mean, the main two to look out for, though, were the eliminations and then the hero damage. Hero damage very good against the Gladiators. It just does not result in a win. I think that's the thing with the Dallas Fuel is you've gotten, I think as teams, you lose so much in a row, you just get accustomed to losing. When you take a look at the maps that here presented by Toyota, that they've been stuck in this rut where they just keep losing and losing and losing. And even when they get close, they're still going to come out with a loss. And it's just been a brutal stretch for Dallas.
Yeah, it may not feel fair for them, coming so close to taking out big teams like the Gladiators, but that is how the cookie crumbles.
Well,
the moment you let your guard down against these top flight teams, Matt, you've lost already.
You just get used to losing, and it has like a little bit of like a losing culture attached to it, and it's hard to turn that type of scenario around, get back going the other direction.
We talked about the Reaper being, a real big draw for AKM against the Gladiators, but for Zachary, he's struggled on the Hanzo, as has Architect though, so we may not really see these teams go for a ton of Hanzo from those individuals. It's just not, doesn't seem like a pocket pit for either of them, but it is Ilios first. We head off to the Lighthouse to begin with. It'll be Rascal on the Hanzo instead.
Yes, AKM teleports them out, switches over to Reaper, and you'll have Architect play Pharah. So you'll have the Pharah up in the sky, Violet going to be playing Ana here instead of, playing something like the Moira or Zenyatta in this instance, but I think you would need a Ana or a Moira in this case. You could play a Zen because you need healing for the rest of the team, because Moth is going to be attached to Architect as he's raining down rockets.
Every time we see a Pharah's perspective on this part of the map, it feels like a matter of time before they strike a critical blow. With OG already out of the picture, Matt, you have to think that that's not far away, and it's a barrage already from Architect, bringing the house down and the roof down on top of AKM and Harry Hook.
Yeah, solid 33-second barrage here.
Brilliant.
From Architect is, well, you remember back to last year where the San Francisco Shock coming into the year, they had Super and Sinatra on the bench, right? Everybody's waiting for them to be able to play. They also signed Architect like mid-season. That was a pickup that everybody was excited for. Like, he was such a strong Genji player, everyone was excited to see his bar as well.
Was a teammate of Trichoven's before.
And it just, he kind of forgot about him a little bit when you went over to 3-3 because you didn't see him play at all. And now that more damage dealers are in play.
Worth mentioning the McCree switch for AKM here though, Matt. Reaper didn't suit him. He didn't want to play Reaper against Pharah and Hanzo, which I can understand. But the Sniper still gets his measure across the map. Rascal gets rid of the McCree. Point still held by the Shock for now, and with Harry Hook out of the picture, this might get a bit harder. However, Smurf is missing. OG goes down though, so that shield won't be around for much longer. When it's gone, there won't be a replacement. Whole hog on the point now with no shields. That's a scary prospect. Trichoven goes quite low. Zachary manages to freeze him, but that's all he can manage.
They do have Note demeched here. They're just going to let him trying to let him jump off the side, but Rascal will finish him off as they bring in McCree because they're so worried about this far up in the sky. Maybe they don't feel like Note can kind of handle it on his own. It's a very difficult task as Death Harry Hook will switch over and play some Ana here. So you have the Ana being able to put some shots up with Rascal and Architect up in the sky. Zachary now goes over to Hanzo. So like you mentioned, he has had great performances with Hanzo.
Just not yet.
Yeah.
Quite convincing.
It just takes so much poke from this Pharah coming in.
Look at this Rascal. When I see Storm Arrow kills like that on a player that's playing behind an Orisa shield, you sometimes think he wasn't even aiming for AKM just to get whoever was behind the barrier.
I mean, get this mission. So Architect has 4,200 damage right now. Rascal at 2K. Dallas Fuel. Zachary's at 2,100. AKM only at 650.
11% of his team's damage, whereas Architect has 47% of his
Well,
team.
and it's also because like he comes out on the Reaper, you can't really get anything done, and McCree just hasn't been anything that's made a difference either.
Self-destruct here for Note. Towards the point, Architect gonna try and get away from that one. Oh, he's found Harry Hook. Note thinks better of it. He sees a Widowmaker hiding in the corner. Gets slept from behind though. Note being de-suited over on the point, but Rascal somehow found closer there on that Hanzo. And OG couldn't stand up to the scrutiny on the point. Note he's definitely not gonna get kept around this time. Moth going down to Harry Hook is a consolation and nothing more. First round of Ilios for the San Francisco Shock, and the Dallas Fuel's DPS struggled to really leave a mark.
they came out with Farah, did the San Francisco Shock, and there was no answer from the Dallas Fuel. They tried the Widowmaker at the end, they tried McCree about halfway through, and neither really made a difference. It's very dominant round there from the Shock. You can't really play Farah here. You expect there's a really good chance you could play Widowmaker on the other side. If you do see it, a lot of great sight lines for Widowmaker here, not a lot of areas for Farah to hide. So you see both teams now switch over and play the Reaper with the Mei. The Orisa obviously always stays in. It's just a matter of Roadhog or D.Va in terms of the off-tank. They both go with D.Va, and then you're going to both have Moiras in play.
To the point now for the Shock. So it won't be that pick potential combining with the Halt so much now. Definitely more about just trying to protect your Reaper. It's a close quarters point. Reaper gets more priority now than if it were an open map where Roadhog would help set up kills in general. So that means eyes are on AKM. He played a good Reaper against the Gladiators. He has to be even better here against a team like the Shock.
And we'll see how they adjust and play with this mirror matchup. As we mentioned, they were not great when they had the Farah, but maybe they're able to make something happen here. Rascal takes out Zachary at the beginning, so you don't have the Mei wall here for the Dallas Fuel. You don't have Mei in general. Such a strong hero right now in the meta.
Shock
take
for
the point, yeah.
Oh man, the Fuel. I really want to follow up on that. AKM was one that got the D-suit on Troy Kyoben. He gets caught out.
Yeah, they were going to back out there. There wasn't really a fight to be had. You were the Dallas Fuel, so to back out in this situation.
I think Architect wants to brawl.
Yeah, he's showing no fear here, pushing up as far as he can possibly go. They just have a large ultimate advantage here for the Shock. You take a look at the replay here from Architect's POVs. He was able to get in, pick up some kills.
That looked like a Hulk back there. Or at least a boot from Moth. 3 kills, and he was. I can see why he was looking for more. Trying to get that frag bit. I feel that double coalescence now. That Mei wall placed by the Shock almost destroyed, but a Blizzard's going to catch quite a few players. Zachary, especially the Mei. She's frozen. Would have thought she would have protective clothing, being an Arctic researcher.
They sound barrier and coalescence at basically the same time, and then Rascal just waits 2 seconds after and throws down a Blizzard. They can't even move out of it. Now Moth is held on to his sound barrier note in a horrible spot here.
Just hose him down.
He's going to get taken out as things not looking good for the Fuel.
Dallas Fuel do not seem to be on the same level as the Shock on this map. Architect now quite safely able to play from the high ground. If Note pays him a visit, he can drop down. AKM pays him a visit, he takes the duel for a moment. Yeah, same result. All right, here's a supercharge from the field. They have to make a play here. Self-destruct comes in over the top. No connection, but they did find Architect at AKM. And yeah, they managed to catch Troy Kyoben out on his own. And they get rid of him before he resuits, surely. Okay, Zachary gets in there. Bit risky with the self-destruct blast going off, but he finds the kill anyway. Here's the coalescence now. Violet able to avoid the icicles for the most part and keep using that coalescence on his teammates. Smurf will come back in with a supercharge, and Moff has a sound barrier as well. The Shock can get up.
Fight this.
Yep. Get the point over for now. They are waiting on Troy Kyoben to rejoin them. So.
But they can always just go in and attack this with the sound barrier. So they use Supercharger here. This may force out the Blizzard from Zachary. It's going to be the Blizzard that comes down from the Shock. Doesn't really get much of anything.
Interesting, actually, because it was the Shock's own Mei wall that prevented them from advancing any further. Maybe they thought they'd managed to catch the Fuel, or maybe he was hinging his hopes on a halt from Smurf. Here's Dallas Fuels now, coming out with their own Blizzard, and you see the extra freeze from Zachary to make sure Moth had less time to get away. A mistake there from the Shock.
Yeah, I would say so. They get absolutely nothing out of the Blizzard. Maybe they thought that they were going to play aggressive behind their own wall, right? So if Dallas would have played up close towards the Shock's Mei wall, they could have caught them off guard by Blizzarding right behind it, but the Fuel nowhere close to it. So the only positive, I guess, from the Shock is that because the fight is so heavily favored in the Dallas Fuel's favor, you're able to hold on to your sound barrier. You can use it to be a little bit more aggressive at the beginning of the fight. But still, you would have liked better usage out of your Blizzard.
Violet actually fades ahead of the wall. That means that his team wants him to be in the fight. Sound barrier now for the Dallas Fuel. But look at all the freezing getting done. Everyone from Dallas is stacked up. And Rascal doesn't even need a Blizzard to freeze every last one of them. AKM and OG stopped in their tracks. And Rascal has a Blizzard now. He used it kind of frivolously in the last fight, but he got it back oh so quickly. The Shock now moved to the point. The Hulk doesn't drag anyone in, but they're in control now, Matt.
You're going to be able to drop the Blizzard down as soon as you go to get that D-Mech on the node. He has to back up, but the Blizzard doesn't really do much. Zachary's going to throw his in, but Choyobin comes up with the E.
Self-destruct over the top here. Zachary trying to get away as quick as he can. Junkertown goes down to the death loss, making him appears from the left side, but Architect sends him packing. Smurf Supercharger now is timed out, a bit destroyed. The Dallas Fuel have one in play though. Good placement by OG. A lot of his teammates are benefiting from that damage boost. Hulk pulls him outside of the shield. Here's a Coalescence now coming out from the shock. Looks like it's an aggressive one indeed. Not really too bothered on the side of the Fuel. Bionic Orb thrown out there by Harry Hook. And here's a Wrecking Ball. Junkertown returns now off the Diva. Wants to get this fight started up proper. Zachary's afraid of getting frozen first, so he goes into Ice Block. A Wraith Walk from AKM. A lot of respect for Rascal here. Rascal now his own Ice Block. He has a wall available should he need it. Blizzard comes out here from Zachary though. And Architect will think twice about entering the fray.
Oh, and they get the freeze onto Moth right as he had the sound barrier. He finally gets it off, but it's going to be a sound barrier from Closer as well, as we're still at OT in favor of the Shock as Architect connects with one. Smurf and Moth pick up 2 more.
Architect now safely able to play from the back lines, wait for his chance to get in. AKM guns him down, but it ain't enough. Not even close. And that Ilios goes strongly in favor of San Francisco, Matt. They try a couple cheeky things towards the end, maybe get a bit ahead of himself, but eventually they could break back in and claim the map.
Yeah, as that final fight really goes on forever. Choyobin comes back on.
Someone's getting stuck.
Wrecking Ball. Architect comes back on the Doomfist as the Shock take care of business in map number 1.
We're back in just a moment here. Map number 2 coming at you.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
The Prodigy. Prodigy. Oh, the Prodigy. He is very young, so it almost feels like child prodigy-esque.
I first started playing games when I was really young. I watched my brother play Crash Bandicoot. I wanted to play with him, so that was like the first game I really played. And then friends that I had met, they told me about Overwatch, and then we made a team, and then Overwatch League.
He is kind of another one of those kids who came in too young to even play in the league.
He was ineligible for a play because he hadn't turned 18 yet when they started.
They had to wait for him, and once he was in, you can very much tell that he was very young and also maybe a little bit inexperienced.
How much did he even play last year?
So being able to just, sit there and kind of not do anything, it was kind of just gets you antsy. You want to play, you want to help the team. And a lot of people are like, super, he wasn't good, he's going to be a bench warmer. But, we're over that now.
Certainly one of the biggest personalities that we have.
He's a guy who will talk trash to the other team. He'll talk trash to his team.
Look at these ugly, sloppy players.
They're definitely scared of us.
Yeah, 100%.
And also, he's just one of the funniest guys on the planet.
I like to try and make people laugh and just ease the mood a bit.
You gotta keep people having fun to a certain extent.
And I think a lot of the stuff that he brings to the table, you can't really look at in stats that don't show up. It's just the confidence for the rest of the squad, which I think you can't really put a number on.
He has managed to pick up the main tank role.
It's funny to have a small person play such a big role. He's an aggressive Ryan, but the team goes with him. That's why Zarya, played by Sinatra, and Reinhardt work well together. Zarya can bubble the Reinhardt, so it gives super opportunities to play more aggressively, which then charges up Sinatra's energy so he can do more damage. So they need each other to do what they both do and how they play.
Falls. Super had like no help, but they somehow kept him alive.
It's kind of like surreal that I was able to surpass those expectations and be nominated for MVP. I think it would just be a big redemption arc.
Cast your vote on Twitter using #OwlMVP and the Players Battle tag, or during any remaining regular season broadcast on Twitch. Voting ends on August 25th, so let your voice be heard.
The only reason that the San Francisco Shock are even where they are now is because of, well, Sinatra and Super really leading from the front lines up until this stage. The game's changed a little bit, and there's an opportunity now for some other players on the Shock to deliver, but make no mistake, they would not be within striking distance of a Season 2 championship if it were not for those two. That's why their names are up for debate, the MVP. Yeah, you guys obviously can vote for them, either on Twitch with the #OWLMVP plus the Players Battle tag, on Twitter, sorry, or on Twitch. With the MVP overlay. It should be right there. You can hide it, unhide it as you please, and vote in that dialogue. Really easy to do. Voting open until August 25th. It's your league. Vote for your MVP, fam.
Yeah, and I think Super and Sinatra definitely have some of the stronger cases, at least in my opinion, for that T-Mobile MVP. Both fantastic players. The Shock team plays all 3 of our stage finals throughout the year. So really strong performance from both of those players. Definitely deserve nominations.
Now we head into our second map of this series, the Temple of Anubis. That's where we're going to be. We saw that substitution. Houston, there is an unidentified object in your vicinity. That's right, Sinatra has entered. We'll see if we get to see some of that. The Genji, the Tracer, the Doomfist is something you can play.
Interesting. You kind of look at the substitution with him and Architect in. You wonder, hey, well, I guess on defense I'm more interested as opposed to offense. Offense, maybe he plays the Doomfist, but defense, if they need that, Widowmaker Junkrat combination, is he going to play Junkrat? What are they going to come up with on the defensive side? So, looks like at least on offense, they'll have Doomfist Reaper, Wrecking Ball in terms of their main tank, so they really want to get aggressive, want to dive onto the Dallas Fuel.
This could be quick, or it could be painful for the Shock. Both for the Dallas Fuel,
really.
really.
Look at this rollout from Sinatra. If we can get on his POV here, this is pretty nuts.
So, this is the classic Doom.
All right, don't go to Sinatra.
I was the first player to do that to try this was Effect, actually, when he played on the Dallas Fuel. Yeah, just sort of skate off the nose of that Anubis statue and over the top. But as he's been trying to set this up, the Shock have lost Architect. Sinatra has to just reflect on this.
His teammates are like, all right, let's just go. I don't want to wait.
Jay, we ain't waiting for you anymore, fam. Glancing hit from the AKM in the back corner on the Widowmaker. Hook on the Smurf, he should be able to roll away relatively safely. But Troy is D-Suitor still to get the kill on Zachary. They bait that one in there, and Sinatra springs forth.
It's a big pick off. You get the May. That May is so important, but that's going to be Node who takes out Sinatra. AKM's done a nice job dodging a lot of these players going from rooftop to rooftop.
Someone's catching these. He's about to catch these hands.
That's so sad. It's a though. It is.
Wrecking Ball delivered righteous justice from the hands of AKM. we'll see what the Shock are a little split right now. So they actually have Violet and Chocobin up on that high ground on the left-hand side. Smurf catching more hooks than Moby Dick.
It's so weird that they're up there on the high ground. Dallas is the infrasight. They didn't really go and pressure them out. Instead, it'll be a coalescence for the high ground here for Violet.
Choco, I mean, Note is causing a lot of problems for the Shock right now, Matt. All of these picks, precipitating opportunities for the Fuel just to sort of win outright some of these fights. And they've not really been worried too much about using ultimates. They've done 3 last fight, in fairness.
Yeah, another sleep from Harry Hook onto Smurf as Moth will just get taken out here towards the end. But like you mentioned, Note having a good start to this map. It'll be AKM, which is off of Widow. Back on Sombra. So Sombra, very strong against the Wrecking Ball in Duels. Both of those heroes that don't really do well with being hacked and having all their mobility taken away.
Note playing around the shield. For yet another hook, you'd love to slow Smurf's roll a little bit. Ah, the Blizzard off to the other side. Well, Architect just walks out of that. Great walks, in fact. And Harry Hook goes down. Oh, dear. Well, he wanted an ice bath. You know, it's been a long day on the court.
I believe he actually stands in the Blizzard, but doesn't realize that the Meteor Strike's going to come down, take him out, and then Sinatraa just gets out of it. As deal with AKM as well as the Shock have opened things up.
Yeah, Sinatraa dealing with Note there, and it's just OG in the corner. You know what happens when Doomfist sees someone backed up against the wall? It's over. For OG.
You still have closer?
Dig it though, dig it.
Well, I mean, very short amount of time.
Now he's there in spirit because his spirit didn't have enough time to leave his body before he got mulched.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to like follow this up though. So changes come in here for the Shock. Smurf will play Orisa. So you stay on Doomfist here with the Orisa, which is quite interesting. They don't really like gel together that well.
Set up a safe base for your backline with that Orisa. Sinatraa go and have somewhere to return to. He goes in and out. Actually got walled off there, but Fuel didn't really want to follow that up. A hook from Note would have been good, but I don't think he hit the sight line. There is a
self-destruct.
Shadowy figure there on the left. AKM been lurking. Got his way into the... Oh, he's got Architect up close. Architect didn't have a chance to respond to that. It's a 1-for-1. Zachary's gone down. Sinatraa was able to get his job done. AKM's going to try and double get rid of Sinatraa, but he got knocked out of the way. And a sound barrier keeps him alive. AKM fuming right now, steaming at the ears. Sinatraa drops on down without so much as the how you doing. But AKM was able to get rid of him. Moth now frozen up by Zachary. Not much left of the Shock here to really work with. 4 players.
Yeah, you can't fight this.
They are backing off.
Yeah, you have to back up there. Is AKM probably got a little bit scared there when Sinatraa was able to wake up and get the effects of the sound barrier. So they'll stay on the Doomfist yet again. So they feel confident playing the Doomfist. Harry Hook switches off the Ana, but his Ana was actually quite good. He connected with like 3 or 4 sleep darts, connected with 1 there in the previous fight as well. So doing a nice job on the hero. We all have Supercharger here for the San Francisco Shock. So you should be able to push them back on the point a little bit.
AKM pushing up. Architect striking to repel him, trying to protect his Diva. Oh, it works! AKM kind of got baited into that one, but still doesn't matter. The rest of the Fuel were all over. The Shock like moss on a rock. Great Blizzard.
Yeah, good Blizzard, good follow-up by the rest of the Dallas Fuel, getting aggressive, closer with a speed boost there. Rocking on in, they're trying to chase down Violet here. They get a hook onto him. They're able to take him out. I just wonder how much longer you could commit to this composition if you're the San Francisco Shock.
What do you want to see them change?
I think potentially you would want to bring in like a, let's say you wanted to use like a Hanzo, or you could use a Mei of your own to try and use the Ice Wall to gain some type of advantage as you push on in. Although Doomfist is pretty effective in the close quarter area of like where the point is, a lot of walls, but not players in here. Doesn't really go with the Orisa.
He's 8-3 right now on the Doomfist, so at least getting more than 1-for-1s for a lot of these kills. He's been trading up. AKM, watch out! Up close, there's only 2 shots he really needed with OG getting punched into next Tuesday. There's a wall up there. The Fuel can still contest the point from behind that to a degree, but it's awkward for them. There's still 6 players on the Fuel alive right now, but they're going in 1s and 2s, Matt. That's no good. Architect breaking through the wall. Is John Cena? No, it's Reaper coming out there with the Death Blossom. And that's pretty comfortable for the Shock. They eventually push with that same composition, Matt. They didn't switch it up, didn't go for Hanzo Mei. Still worked out.
No, they're eventually able to just barrel on through the Dallas Fuel, and they finish with a minute plus in their time bank. So good time bank there for the San Francisco Shock. It'll be interesting to see what they decide to run on defense. Do we see Sinatraa pick up the Doomfist? Do we see him play one of the other heroes that we usually see on Anubis defense. Maybe something like a Junkrat, even a Genji like we've seen from some other teams. It'll be interesting. We'll see that second half after this.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
You must live bleeding out. Heroes never die. Team up for special attack. Dein Schutzengel ist da.
Meteor strike.
Sinatra, definitely one of the best players in the Overwatch League.
This is where Sinatra starts to spread his wings a little bit more. He just kills everybody.
Giant bomb from Sinatra.
The only team that's got to come up with something to stop this match is Team 4.
That's what you love to see.
The Juggernaut. It is Sinatra. Bringing out the Doomfist there. 9 final blows. Next closest on his team is Architect with 6. And only Moth is the only other player on the shot to get a kill there.
To get a final blow, yeah. A lot of other players kill contributions, but all of the final blows pretty much come from the Doomfist Reaper combination. I was talking about before the break, what do we see Sinatra play on defense? So they have Architect play the Widowmaker, and then Sinatra play Genji, which last year and even throughout this year, we've seen him really just play a ton of Tracer, but can definitely play a strong Genji.
Architect. Again, not expecting to find tons here. This might be the first time we've seen
Yeah, it is. He has played it in the past, though.
Thanks, Captain Planet, for that one.
And I think it's probably pretty good for Sinatra as a player to be surrounded by the likes of Architect and Striker and Rascal and like the damage dealer core for the Shock, because it's going to force him to get better at a lot of different heroes, right? Where he's not going to be able to obviously play Zarya now and get into the game.
Roster, right?
It is, and all these players want to be the absolute best.
And if you don't think Krusty is going to hold that over the players' heads, to be like, look, you've got to put the work in, otherwise you're bent.
Yeah.
Like, you're wrong. He's already done that.
No, I mean, it's healthy competition between teammates, right? So
Sinatra said himself last year that he loves playing these divey assassin type heroes because he loves stressing his opponents out, loves getting in their faces and just seeing who's going to come out on top. This time it's him. He gets rid of Note.
I mean, we've seen Haxall play the Genji on defense for the Vancouver Titans on this map when they were playing like Ureg, so they would play the Widow and the Genji, and what you see is like through a lot of the halt hook combos, the Genji just dashes on through. If you're able to pick up one of those kills, the Genji gets a dash reset, they're able to dash to another player, they pick up another kill, really get it rolling.
Sinatra doing the poking this time around. Architect opts to stay at the rear. Holds. Wall. Sleep out on OG. That'll slow the fuel down.
No one can hide.
It's quiet because they can't do anything.
They also get hit with a biotic grenade.
Biotic grenade, yeah.
So
So
now
between them, it's about 12 seconds for.
yeah, they're gonna have to wait the walls out here. They're gonna use an amp matrix. They have to Amp Matrix. They actually get hit with another Biotic Grenade. 3 players are going to have to back out around the corner, so
that nade
get nothing with
saved Smurf's life, Matt. He was down to just a little bit of HP. He tried to quickly duck behind a pillar. That another Bio nade. It's 5 people. It's time for Sinatra, baby. In he goes with the Dragon Blade. Already 3. Got himself 4. Yeah, thanks for coming. That's a tactical crouch.
Sometimes you just get got.
You asked for that. I mean, body grenade, follow up Dragon Blade.
Yikes. Oh, that was so perfectly set up. This is like a Genji's dream. Even the Brenji probably could have made some work here in this one, but Sinatra just comes in, cleans him up. This is clean.
Oh man, ruined. That's the kind of soul-crushing Dragon Blade, you know.
He's already at 70% to another one.
Violet is ruining these fools right now. These body grenades are gross.
Oh, just these being able, like the Dallas Fuel, they don't have a Lucio, so they have to stay grouped together, and he's just able to just dash on through them in the back line.
You know they're feeling pressured of AKM switching to Sombra. Sinatra's back, of course, with Mock, Resin.
I mean, they're going to have another Nano Blade for this fight. They just used one. They're going to have another Nano Blade. You probably don't even need him. You know, look, Closer's dead now.
So he's gonna get healed. He's good. He's gonna climb towards.
They nano him now, so.
Okay, he has the blade. He's gonna go again. He didn't know there's a transcendence. Sinatra, slippery as you like.
They tried to blizzard him there in place.
Whole hog
him on, and then they transcend. Oh man.
Oh, the King's horses. And then could not stop Sinatra on a running riot.
El Clasico today.
30 seconds remain in the round. The Dallas Fuel look despondent.
This has been a crazy defense here from the Shock, as I think you're seeing a really strong game from Sinatra on the Genji, and then also Violet playing Ana, being able to land these biotic grenades. So AKM has gotten all the way into the back, trying to make a play for the point here.
Zachary on the Tracer. Big Renegades throwback here. Well, that didn't last very long, did it? Damage boosted shot from Architect is enough to get rid of the Tracer. She doesn't have the health pool to withstand such a shot. Sinatra fighting in the middle of the point here against AKM, who is getting close to an EMP. Very close, in fact. The Harry Hook's been taken down. Whole hog. No, AKM! He was trying to go invisible.
There's nothing he could do there. I mean, everybody's falling. He needs to go out of and break the invis to even contest the point, as it's just OG with the chance here, but he's the only one just rolling around.
The San Francisco Shock are on another level. And there it is, map number 2. Handily taken by San Francisco. Sinatra making his first Genji appearance this season, and he made it memorable indeed.
I think you see the depth of this roster really pay off when you can have somebody like Sinatra, who's a Team MVP candidate, come in, play one map, play quite well, pack his keyboard up, go hang out in the back with the boys.
Like catching a touchdown pass or running out of the arena, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And he's heading home now. He's wrapping up his keyboard. He's putting him back on the bench. I hate to see it. We'll be back after halftime.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile. And by State Farm. Whatever life brings your way, State Farm is here to help life go right.
for special attack.
There's no real surprises here. It's the Shock putting on a clinic so far in this battle. San Francisco up 2-0 over the Dallas Fuel coming into the half. Welcome back, everybody. It's stage 4, and we are on the final day of week 3. It's Puckett alongside Bren and Sideshow, and this was a match that was really important for one of these teams. The Shock looking pretty good for their playoff chances, but the Fuel, they're in not a must-win, but very close to it. They have to have a great finish to a struggling stage 4.
You feel the reverse sweep?
Not particularly. I don't think so. With how this first half has gone, the San Francisco Shock in stellar form. I was saying anyway that the San Francisco Shock are more likely to slip up in stage 4 than they were in the previous seasons. What am I talking about? Stages. But they seem to be dominant. I mean, they are really at the top of the league right now.
Okay, but I also say they haven't really been tested that much as well.
They played the Gladiators. That was 5 maps, though, to be fair.
It was early on as well.
Let's take a look at why the Shock are so dangerous. For me, it's their roster. I mean, yes, you have incredible coaching staff, but you can just pick anyone off the bench and throw them into lineup and get highlights like this.
Yeah, it certainly feels like it. I was saying earlier, I mean, the San Francisco Shock are a team that's absolutely stacked with talent, not even in the bench, but their coaching staff as well. It's an all-star lineup from top to bottom, and it really shows in their play. They seem to have adapted the best out of all of the teams so far in the league when it comes to the big changes, moving into 2-2-2, and they just put on an absolute...
This is so good.
It's like surgery. Look at him.
He teleports to the wall, too. Architect's
I know,
the greatest.
It is. It's really cool. The whole of the San Francisco Shock is working like a well-oiled machine. There are people that they've got on the bench that they could field and would be instantly incredible players on any other team in the league.
Striker was a top 3 player last year.
Striker,
remember Nevix?
Nevix, these guys are so good. And they're on the bench, and we don't really see them that much. We don't see Sinatra that much either. But he came in for map 2, and he's been coming in just generally for map 2s, and he was a beast.
Let's take a look at Anubis. Just roll the highlights, because we were pumped to see Sinatra back in his damage-dealing role today. He showed us a few things. Here's the fist to open things up, hitting the headshots, landing all of his abilities. Just embarrassing note on the Hog. Later, we saw, of course, the Genji come out. Architect decided to be fielded in both games of the first half. Is this a guy you expect all 4 today?
I think he's the standard right now for Shock, but I mean, we got to talk about this guy's performance, right? Team Mobile MVP candidate, you can still vote for that as well, I believe until August 25th. But just unreal. I mean, he's incredibly flexible. People would really, I think,
Look at this! They try and kill him. They can't kill him.
They can't kill him. And he just pulls out the blade, he gets whole hog, forces out the boy. Everything's getting used. They still don't get to killing him. Like, I mean, that just goes to show as well, though, the San Francisco Shock and how coordinated they are, and also kind of the weaknesses with Dallas as well in terms of their focus fire. But I mean, look at how much he's played this stage as well.
Not much.
Like, I mean, it was exclusively Zarya, the stages 1 to 3.
Andy was just known as a Tracer one trick before that, essentially. So the guy's really expanded his repertoire. Yes, he hasn't had much play time, because he only comes in for certain maps. But in terms of what he plays, it's expanded massively for Sinatra. And I love this because it's like, I imagine Krusty in the back, just envisioning his roster as a bunch of different pieces and toys to play with.
Well, he does this. Yeah. That's Krusty's...
What, he actually plays with?
I mean, no, I don't know if he plays with them like little toy pieces or whatever, but...
It's a head coach move.
He absolutely does swap players in and out and experiments early on, at least. We saw it in this season, early on, stage 1, and we're seeing it now as well in stage 4.
Josh, what toys do you want to see Krusty play with in the second half?
I always enjoy seeing Sinatra because he's just got the ridiculous pop-off potential. But honestly, I think he's going to stick mainly to this Rascal Architect core, because Rascal plays the Mei so well and Architect plays a bunch of other stuff incredibly. So I think that's going to be the general mode, but then he's just going to sub in different bits and parts, make a Frankenstein Lego monster every time that he wants to like field super.
It's still going to look good. It's still going to look good.
Work.
Let's talk about real quick the Dallas Fuel. Last question here. They are in the same position we saw the Valiant last night, who barely got the win over the Florida Mayhem. If Dallas don't get the win, they're still in the running, but how many maps do you need? Do you need at least 1?
I don't even know if it's a case about maps right now. If you're Dallas, you're praying, right? Because it's a bunch of different things have to
Scenarios,
go wrong for
yep.
other teams. Is that going to happen? Maybe. There's
You
like
need
a
to win all
possibility.
3 games,
You can
Dallas.
Doctor Strange it and peer into the different multiple universes. I don't know.
We'll see if they can get it done. I think this one is all shock, but we'll find out the official answer after the break.
And that's Dallas setting themselves up for a quick take here.
Coming from a small town to like a big city like this, it's definitely different, but also cool and exciting. It sucks like leaving my friends and stuff behind and family, but like I knew what I wanted to do and this is what I want to do in life.
Trill nails the shatter.
I just want to have fun and just do something that makes me happy, right? And this makes me happy. Getting to like travel, meet new people, I feel like it's like a once in a lifetime sort of thing. So like I just want to take it and just like run with it as long as I can.
Welcome back to the Overwatch League, ladies and gentlemen. This match between the Shock and the Fuel, San Francisco and Dallas, has gone about the way that we expected it to. Maybe on the more brutal end of the spectrum already. 2 maps done. Hasn't been that long, I'll be honest with you.
Well, you don't. It is brutal, but I don't know if this is unexpected because the Dallas Fuel have been struggling mightily. The San Francisco Shock are, I think, the one team, when you look at a lot of people's power rankings right now, you're kind of like, you don't know what's going on from like 2 to 8. It's really kind of hard to position teams. You don't really question who's number 1, and I think they've proven it.
They're on like an 8-match loss streak, I think, the Dallas Fuel.
Yeah, I mean, it has not been pretty since the Dallas homestand. They beat the Houston Outlaws like April 28th, and then since April 28th, there are only 2 wins in that time span between then and now is against the Justice in the Florida Mayhem, which if you're watching this stage, you're like, oh, well, those are 2 pretty solid teams. But up until this point, into stage 4, they were not.
More closer to walkover games at that period of time. Some substitutions coming after the halftime as well. Worth mentioning here. Rascal comes back in for Sinatra. It's like, hey, Sinatra, your brain's too big for this meta. You can't play with your team. You have to be benched. Yeah, it's happened before. And Trell comes in for OG on the Dallas Fuel. Western Australian will be on the main tank role.
And like I mentioned, Dallas struggling. They're 7-22 in terms of maps for and against since their win against the Justice. So that has been a real struggle. And I think you're just kind of move pieces around in the lineup, just trying to find something that works. And it's got to be tough because you come in, every day you're practicing really hard. You're just not seeing the results. And then the frustration starts to set in. You're also a team that is vying for a playoff spot at the time. This is a team that was up in our top 6 for a large portion at the beginning of the year. And then you start to slip out of that. It's a lot of pressure.
It's the opposite of what happened to the Fuel last year. They had a really good run towards the end. Stage 4 is where Dallas Fuel were looking like real contenders. Architect, though, is still going to be someone to watch on this map. Widowmaker on defense is on the attack, so it won't be happening.
What they'll probably do is what they did, London did the other day with the teleporter, and then they teleported the Widowmaker up to that high ground, see if you can get a shot real quick, and then back up. But
look, prior to this game, Architect was #1 in hero damage per 10 on Reaper out of all Reapers this stage. So, guy's nasty, straight nasty.
He'll fire a shot, just look for somebody, realizes won't get anything. Now he'll switch over to Hanzo. And nice
this is awkward
here, yeah.
Nice little catch by Dallas.
Dallas plays aggressive there.
I mean, I don't think I've really seen many teams abandoning position there. Very clever. I don't know if they can do that again, though.
Interesting. So Architect does not want to play Reaper here. He wants to go over to Pharah. As Violet will play.
If they play in the choke, Pharah is a great value engine.
Yeah, so they'll try and just poke, get some damage down with the Pharah at range. It was very effective on map #1, Ilios.
Again, who's going to kill him? What? I mean, Harry Hook, Biotic grasping him from long range. Architect does what he wants.
Dallas is making the right move here. Is that they've pushed on forward.
There are 2 people on the point. 2!
Yeah, that's one tick. It is, although they do give up a tick here, it is the right move for the Dallas Fuel. If you remember when we would see teams play GOATs, play 3-3, when the other team ran like a Pharah, what was the answer? To just kind of run at the other team and just run them over. And right there, that's exactly what Dallas did. See the Pharah up in the sky, the Mercy goes with. What do? They just push on forward, they're able to pick up some other players.
If Architect and Moth get away there, it's fine. Now though, them falling definitely hurts them a little bit. Now I still want to play this choke very close. I like the position here. Again, being 2 maps down, showing this level of bravado, this level of braggadocio. I like to see it. Yeah, you're not getting away with that one there, Russ. Blizzard thrown out by Zachary. Looking to the skies, gives Troikoven an opportunity to take him out, and now Nano Barrage, Trill disintegrates. Note and Closer are also in deep, deep trouble.
Yes, the Nano Barrage definitely pays off. Architect going over towards the point here. You'll be able to take it for the San Francisco Shock as Dallas Fuel decide to switch. Remember on Ilios, they switched over and played McCree. This time it'll be Widowmaker. It didn't really work out for Dallas on map #1, and I believe you're going to see Architect switch off here. Maybe a Widowmaker of his own.
Hanzo.
Okay.
So they are going to play the Batiste, looks like. Yeah, Batiste Zen. Yeah, figured we'd see the switch off Ana there, so.
AKM will go back and play Hanzo too.
Right, so looks like Zachary's on May duties here. AKM, not a lot of data on his Hanzo so far in this stage. Nothing that's really compelling. Ball goes up, Zachary. The shock back off, they realize, oh, they use Supercharger. We're just gonna walk away.
But being on the low ground here, it sets them up to potentially get hit with this Blizzard from behind here.
They don't even know Rascal's there, and he's been shooting the Supercharger the whole time still.
Oh, they get both tanks
though.
though.
Troikoven and Smurf being down, this Blizzard now.
The Blizzard's not even really good. It's a little short.
Worked out very well for Dallas. Nice little turnaround there. They must have just collapsed on the front line of the shot.
So they make the adjustment at halftime. Dallas, they decide to bring in Trill here. So I think since they picked up Trill and he's got accustomed to being here and whatnot, they've been working him in more and more, allowing him to get some play time. He's a very talented player.
OG's working on a budding acting career on the side as well. You know, the man be busy. He's out there on that side. Hustle, LA-like coming at him. Trill slaps. Dragon Strike. Sometime.
Dragon, yeah.
Dallas Dragon Strike right up the alley there. Tough to get away from, and Zachary lobs in the Blizzard here. Yeah, Rascal too deep again to get away. And there's Rascal though. He does position more aggressively than a lot of other players.
You are getting close to like an Amp Matrix play you can set up here though. From the San Francisco Shock. Dallas pushes up a little bit too far. You can Amp Matrix plus the Zenyatta and Hanzo. First players down. We've seen a lot of teams do that. That's going to be the Amp Matrix. Trying to pick us how low AKM gets to like one shot there.
You really can't afford to pick out for even a small amount of time. Dragon Strike comes in to try and stave off some of this aggression. It actually catches Smurf out with Zachary being brought back. It's a 5v5. Architect shuts that down pretty quickly though, and that is the Transcendence. Violet.
They nano Closer here. Probably not the target of the nano boost, but
no, Architect's having a little giggle about that.
Yeah, that Closer is actually, I think, flying towards a teammate. Potentially the nano boost was to whoever it was where Harry was looking at. Closer just decided to steal the nano.
I don't think he stole it. As an Ana player, you gotta realize sometimes setting your nano sensitivity is pretty important. Sometimes people just get in your way. Even if some of their hitbox clips through your model and you can't see them, you can still nano them sometimes. So you gotta be careful with it. In a heat of battle, it's hard to get everything right.
Blizzard right away, once they get that defense.
That is,
yeah.
oh my, that is, oh God, everyone's caught inside of it. And the Shock can just pick targets as they go through. Hoser, I respect the hustle, man. But that's not enough, that Blizzard.
So now as we move in towards the inside of the map, towards the final phase, AKM will switch to Reaper, where Reaper can be a little bit more effective, like closer sightlines. In the spot from unlocking the payload to the second checkpoint, Hanzo can be very good to access the high ground, long range damage, where here it's not as necessary, although the Shock do set up on the high ground here, which is a very interesting look. A lot of teams don't really take this position as Zachary is dead first.
Yeah, Dallas have to commit now to collapsing on the remainder of the San Francisco Shock, those that are playing around the payload here. And they don't get much done. Looks like they just get railroaded there into Rascal's plan. He receives all the Dallas fuel, and he just looks comfortable.
The Violet and Rascal are playing from the spawn. They're getting pinched from both directions.
Oh, Dallas tried to collapse. I reckon they got walled off, Matt. That has to be it. They couldn't do anything. I was waiting for all this blue and a kill feed for them, jumping on the defenseless backline, but it turns out they were anything but defenseless.
Well, I mean, they could have used the Mei there in that situation, right? Being able to use the wall and putting it on one side is this.
Oh, Lucas, I'm sorry, bro. It could be like that sometimes, man. Ain't you? Oh, right.
Get away! All right, barely made it, but they're gonna know exactly where you are.
Oh, no. Rascal's gonna keep chasing. Yeah. But now at least, Note demands the attention of one of those players. He is having the worst 30 seconds of Overwatch.
Rascal's still chasing him. The fight is going down on the cart, potentially push the payload over the line, and Rascal's back by the spawn. Just 1v1ing, no, why not?
Amplification matrix up. Not the ideal location based on where the Orisa shield's been put down, but the Blizzard again looks pretty good. Gonna force away the Dallas fuel here, and they just get absolutely rickrolled. Note playing 1v1.
Yeah, that is a difficult spot for Note to be in. As he Rascal's smiling on the stage, he knows exactly. He's telling everybody.
You are so rude, Rascal. It's not even funny. Very cheeky behavior. The San Francisco Shock now finish that attack. We're going to shift over the second half. Well, Blizzard World is coming right up.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Cease your resistance. Cease your resistance. 公主，不洗澡。
San Francisco, they're on a very good trajectory to pretty much end the series here in map 3 and then force the fuel to be dragged, kicking and screaming through the final map in the series. I have to say, Matt, Architect has been looking great this series. A Hanzo, which we just haven't seen as much of from him, has looked really clean this map. 10 eliminations, 6 final blows, 2 deaths. 30% of his team's damage, and I mean, this guy, clutch overtime final blows. This is who you want, and the Widowmaker was... It was insane. Yeah, still insane.
Last season we saw him play a lot of Widowmaker, Pharah, Genji is really just damage roles. And they tried him earlier in the season on the Brigitte, but just did not really fit his play style, and that's when they decided to put Rascal in that role.
And when we say clutch final blows, that means scoring final blows when your team is short-handed, when you have less players alive than your opponents do, or less players in the vicinity of the fight. So that's really important. A player that can turn fights around. And look, you see heroes like Widowmaker, heroes like Genji. That's what those heroes are very good at doing, getting very high value very quickly. And that's what makes a superstar out of a DPS player, is the guy that can rescue his team in moments like that.
And I will say, with the way this year has gone, players like Architect, and I think specifically somebody like Rascal, have been some of the most important players to have on your roster. I mean, Rascal was able to play Brigitte at a high level. He was able to play Batiste at a high level when the Shock were the only team that was really able to play that.
I heard he went
so many different damage dealers.
He went into a monastery in the off-season just to learn how to play Brigitte.
So 4 players hit by the biotic grenade here.
Smoke burn.
Violet again, landing these big biotic grenades. It's almost crazy to think about. We were joking a little bit during the break that Rascal was on the Dallas Fuel last year and then gets kind of cut towards the end of the year. And
just didn't work out.
And nobody even knows if he's going to be in the league this year. And the Shock pick him up, and he's probably a bigger part of this year than the Shock probably imagined he would have been coming in.
And the Shock walk in with their new Chanel handbag. Rascal peeking out of it like, yo, look what we picked up, fam. You're in trouble now. By the way, almost a blizzard. Yeah, very cool, Rascal. Great wall. That's a fantastic. You need to slip a blizzard around this one.
Lose with Smurf, though.
Rascal. Okay. He gets blown up when he comes out. Goes for the blizzard. Air Matrix on the field. AKM quickly exit stage wherever the heck is not that blizzard. Zachary down now. Mock picked him up. Trichoban waiting for the teleport. Oh, mistimes the hook. Players still getting used now to Reaper's apparition time.
They can give up a tick here.
I think maybe even more than that, I think. With Note getting desuited here, Matt, that hurts. Poser has to lift. I mean, that's a great pick on Violet. Trick over now, whole hog. Trill. Push back.
Does Dallas want to invest sound barrier in? They do.
Dallas Fuel pushing in now. The sound barrier, they have to commit to this fight. They don't want to give this point up so cheaply. Harry Hook, though, is caught. Oh, no! He's straight up not having a good time right now.
They're going to be able to take this up the blizzard, though.
Oh, man. Yeah. Dallas get in there. So they do commit to that fight. Get that first tick. Shock looks like they'd be there in numbers. And even after Harry Hook's gone, they double down.
Strike here. Okay, you're playing right up in the spawn. That's going to be a Dragon Strike that connects with 2. So I guess you have some players here for the Shock. You don't reset, just keep fighting.
I was wondering if we'd seen a classic San Francisco spawn camp. It looks like they've grown. They've matured.
Gonna have to back up just a little bit as you get Rascal back in the fight, as now you'll have that May wall for the choke here. You also have the Blizzard in place. It was really the Blizzard from Zachary that allowed them to take the point in that position. As high ground's taken here by the San Francisco Shock.
They'll let the payload push around the corner at least. So unlike Dallas, they won't take a fight in this choke.
They push around the corner, they're going to get hit with like an Amp Matrix plus like Hanzo from the high ground here, or even a Supercharger.
There it is. Cannon's loose. Arrows flinging in. Moth still on the high ground. Is he going to force Dallas to fight in the shade? And those Spartans, though. AKM wants to try and chase Moth down. And a better target, though. Rascal had to quickly go into Ice Block there. Nicely done by Dallas there. They get rid of Smurf first. The Shock is so split. Dallas responded quickly. Closer gives them a nice speed boost into the low room. And they can avoid the Amp Matrix.
Note able to farm the Roadhog up with his Bunny Blaster, able to get a new mech back as the offense has looked pretty good here for the Dallas Fuel.
Maybe a little bit too much swagger from the Shock here. They've got to get in and start to get this job done now. No, won't be allowed to land. If he can't land, he can't remech. Doesn't matter though. Blizzard doesn't have any follow-up. Trill hook to the high ground. Gets picked off, sure enough, but Trichoban again is the last player there, and they got the checkpoint anyway. Dallas way ahead, time bank-wise.
Oh, absolutely. And a really strong push being put together here by the Dallas Fuel as AKM will go back. Does he decide to switch to a hit scan hero? Yep. Architect pulls out the Pharah yet again. So Violet switches to Zen. Do you want to run versus Zen here when you have the Pharah in play? I feel like you could potentially end up a little bit low on healing.
Sure. They want Mercy Ana here. I guess they want the Transcendence. Trill is down though early, and they'll resurrect. A wall for privacy getting thrown up. He's back in the fight now. Supercharger Blizzard thrown out there by Zachary. Can he follow up? Walls placed in his way. He's looking for Rascal. Trichoban is frozen. Can they get at least the Roadhog? Yes, they do. But Architect fires back. Mighty Fires would fall. Oh, what? 4 kills off the barrage!
Yep, he's going to go back and switch to either Reaper, Reaper maybe for the close quarter pressure, or probably Hanzo here. So those will be the switches that he could make. So you take a look at this barrage.
The Dallas Fuel
POV
get broadsided by a tidal wave of effluent and rockets.
Like I mentioned, you have the switch that comes through, so when you get back into game, Architect will be playing Hanzo now. This will have both teams adjust a little bit. So Note will play Roadhog here. And then you'll also have the Zenyatta come in for the Dallas Fuel, and then both main supports go from Mercy to Batiste.
See, they're both Orissa's looking for big opportunities with the Hulk. Drill a little bit low right now. Immortality Fuel gets deployed a little bit early. Can they get smurfed? No, he hides around the corner and there's a Blizzard. This will force the Fuel back now. And all the worse for them because they were very close to getting pickoffs on the frontliners of the Shock, but they can't contend with the frosty winds.
It's a nice haul from Smurf. It looked like that Note was going to be able to make it out of the Blizzard, and he actually gets a little bit back in, and then the hook comes through. They're able to finish him off with some Hanzo arrows. As the Dallas Fuel line, they got to this point with about 4 minutes left on the clock. They're about to make this next push with only 2 minutes left. It has been a good defense here at this point from the Shock this far.
The time bank has dwindled. Trill and Co going to move through. These teams are going to switch sides briefly. Shock now ready for this. Oh, Rascal. Oh, he's alive! No, couldn't quite find the shot. Rascal actually dropped like a stone there and then became an ice block. Here's an Amp Matrix though. I mean, look at this. The Shock are out of the way quickly. Dallas realized, wait, we don't want to be on this side of the field anymore. Can we swap back? No, it's too late.
Dallas ends up dropping their Amp Matrix, and they use the Dragon to push people out of line of sight of it, so they were not able to use their Amp Matrix, as the May wall is also good from Rascal to block the doorway. As we have gone from 4 minutes plus to 1 minute and 40 on the clock, where at this moment in time, you're looking at the Shock's time bank. It's going to end up being better than the Dallas Fuels, even if they were to finish the map.
I mean, that's right. That's a big maybe, Matt.
If they do, yeah.
Blizzard there for Zachary. There will be a Transcendence for Harry Hook in the coming moments. Again, Dallas go flank route. Now notice that they've left Zachary behind. Zachary,
but they don't have the advantage of having the payload here, though.
Zachary with a flanking Blizzard. Drops it in. Now the Fuel try and push. They're going to try and sandwich the Shock in. Oh, it works. It works well. Violet still gets the Transcendence off, though. Bot gets rid of that Immortality field. Or his field is down, should I say. And they respond. A Blizzard of their own. Trill's caught inside of that one. Harry Hook had the Transcendence. And the big bamboozle from the Fuel ends up working against them. Smurf just yoinks Note off into the pit. And a good idea, a good setup there. Points for creativity, but not for execution, Dallas.
Yes, they get a Transcendence off in the Blizzard to the Shock. You also had an Immortality field there for a little bit. Then Note gets a little bit too close to the edge. Gets ripped off there by Smurf. Smurf about the supercharger here.
I don't know what Note was trying to do there. I think he threw a hook in there. It wasn't going to hit the Transcendence and Violet.
He was trying to get an angle on it.
Dallas don't want to fight this. They're able to disengage.
We're going to have to walk into an Amp Matrix.
Hook. Oh, they lose them all. Oh, no, they lose Note anyway. They were supposed to wait that fight out. Now a Dragon's going to follow up and keep the Dallas Fuel corralled inside their spawn area. I mean, that amplification matrix, Matt, that is not where you want to put it.
No, and
Shock just back off, man.
It's not looking good for the Dallas Fuel as they're going to get to the cart, but they're going to have that Amp Matrix that they're going to have to walk into.
Blizzard time now. Zachary knows he's going to get frozen. His fate is all but sealed. AKM gets taken down on the periphery. 3 players caught inside that Blizzard, and the rest, well, Junkertown's going to chase them up now. Transcendence, Immortality field, all the trimmings, bells and whistles. And Harry Hook. That doesn't last long either. That is rough stuff for the Dallas Fuel. Trounced! After a good start to their attacking side, the San Francisco Shock reassert themselves. That's a 3-0, and they're headed for another clean sheet here in this series.
Yeah, as Architect puts together a really strong map, playing a lot of Pharah, playing a lot of Hanzo, 19 final blows, 18k damage. That's good for 30% of the team damage as the Shock out-damaged the Dallas Fuel by 20,000 that map.
Huge dominance there from the Shock. We'll be back in just a moment with the last map of the series.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
San Francisco, man, I mean, they are not holding back throughout this entire series. And they've just been subbing players in as they please. There's a substitution there for the shock. If you didn't spot it, you'll hear it in a second. Rascal looking very, very good there on that main. I mean, Architect, 18,000 damage over the course of that map.
Architect and Rascal have been nuts.
That's filthy.
The combo.
He's just up.
Yep, give Smurf a break as you can bring a T-Mobile MVP candidate off the bench to give him a little bit of a breather as Super will come on in.
We're calling him the Prodigy now. He's never going to let us hear the end of it. Hey guys, you remember in Season 2 when you said, shut up, Sue.
Oh, I love Sue though. I think one of the best personalities we have in the Overwatch League, without question.
We were sat in the catering hall just chatting to him before their match there. It's always good for a chat. Just a really level-headed human. Yeah.
Level-headed human.
Yeah, very level-headed.
He potentially attacks Trey.
Non-violent. I'm sure he was just going to pat him on the head, and sure he just doesn't like to be touched. So that's fine. You don't like that either, man. I go to give you a tickle. You don't like that. You don't like being hugged. No, it's fine.
Super getting comfy back up on the stage. Just good to see him back and play. It's just like guys at halftime mentioned. They just have so much talent and depth on this roster. It's crazy to say that the two players we haven't seen from the Shock really fielded in the last few weeks, like Nevix and Striker, would potentially start on any other team. Any other team. Like these guys are that good.
And the Shocker sat there like, yeah, you want to pay for the buyout? I think so. Junkertown is our next map. And while it might feel a little bit more like home to Trill, I think the opposition will be quite stiff from the Shock. And honestly, I mean, where Trill's from, this is actually not that inaccurate. This is pretty similar to that part of rural Western Australia. It's a rough out.
You would be the one that would know.
I've been there. I'll be honest, there's not much to say about Broome, but it is a place. And Junkertown, obviously a map for the fuel that is really just for morale's sake here, and there's no way of them salvaging the series.
Like I mentioned, since their win against the Justice, 7-22 in maps, obviously not counting this series. So right now sitting at 7-25 since their last win. Potentially go to 7-26. It's been a rough streak.
Yeah, I mean, going up against the Shock, they probably knew what they were in for. Good chance to just practice their compositions.
And Architect playing a little bit more far today than we've seen some other teams play. One, because he's very strong at it. Two, because there's no hit scan or presence from the other team.
Yeah, that, and I mean, if Dallas is trying to play Reaper May on an open map, then you feel like you can do this, right?
I think it also gives the D.Va a lot of trouble, as you want the D.Va near the tanks to potentially block that Pulse Hook combo in. But if you don't have the defense matrix to block the rockets, you're just going to get spammed down. So Dallas looks like they decided to back up just a little bit. Now they'll set back up by the payload.
Okay, Architect stays on the far here though. I mean, we can just get a 4K barrage, or just let Violet bionate Zachary.
He builds the barrage so quick, and I also think it forces nice sleep there for Violet. It also forces the Dallas Fuel to make a decision now. Do you want to play the Widow? Because then what'll happen is Architect will potentially go back and switch to a Widow of its own. He feels very strong in the Widow v Widow matchup. So,
oh man, are you psychic? I mean,
he's going to play around the barrage again. I mean, this is the same thing we saw the last time. They switched to Widow. He had a barrage. He went back towards it, decided to use the barrage. They get a 4K. You probably stay on it to use the barrage because you're close to a nano boost as well. You get right up at AKM for real, just serving them rockets.
Nothing you can do. AKM wasn't ready for it. I didn't hear the fire coming in. You usually can hear the little toots of the rockets boosters.
It's actually a big May wall there from Rascal. So you can potentially test the cart from that position. So
yeah,
the May wall blocks it out. Yeah,
very clever actually. It's kind of annoying when they're playing Arista-based comps and they're sitting there. Well, Architect hasn't had to. Oh, not again! Give the man a break. He's trying to play the game. Yeah, see you, Dylan. Oh, mate, he is deep in thought right now.
I mean, we've known AKM for a very long time, and I can tell his face on the stage. He is not happy as he goes over to McCree now. To be fair, tries to get in his face, he's gonna hit him with a flashback.
I wouldn't call AKM a bright and outwardly super energetic person. He definitely has his moments. He's a little bit more taciturn though, more quiet. But now he's fuming. Here's the pushback though, Coalescence. Big headshot on Architect. Okay, just give the man nano boost. AKM, you know what's coming. Can you stop it? That's the question! The answer being no. Architect finds 2. It's Closer that steps up though. Unfortunately, he's about to have to step down as it's dragged from the high ground, and Architect is brought back into the fight. Feels bad, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You get a big kill on an enemy, and you get taken down, you trade, and they resurrect it, and they're back at full strength.
And I think you got to feel for some of the players on Dallas, just as a team. So they have had so much success individually that right now, I mean, going through this type of losing streak is brutal for these guys. Like, one thing about AKM, it's like, you know, very serious guy, like, loves to compete, loves to win. Like, going through something like this is brutal for him. And then Note comes over from Boston. Like, Boston, pretty good team last year, right?
Note definitely got a lot of individual accolades as well for his performances. But again, now you realize how much it has to do with the team as a whole. Like, he's not been able to do as much or, you know, make his presence felt to the same degree. Can't shoot that. There's a self-destructing mech. Rascal heads into the ice bunker, and Closer gets picked off there. That has to have been long range. Know where he's playing from right now. Huge biotic grenade. Huge.
But how many Pharahs in the league would actually just stay on? I mean, they've had an opportunity to finish off of this with the free switch on the other side, and even with the Widowmaker one, they've just decided not to.
Look, I mean, he's not being pressured down. That's kind of Dallas's conundrum, is that they want to play Hitscan Hero to directly answer Architect, but Hitscan Hero is so weak to anything else to shock.
This will be okay. Yeah, I was gonna say you can't play Pharah here in the last part of the map into Widowmaker, especially Widowmaker on a Batiste on the other side. Don't exactly know how that would have worked out, but you can play the Hanzo here. So Hanzo can access the high ground, even give the Widowmaker a lot of trouble.
Yeah, Architect has definitely been focusing on AKM. Just trying to dive the Widow. If you don't dive the Widow as Pharah, I mean, you're very likely to get picked off if you give her any space at all. Dallas can't create space for AKM against what Architect's doing right now. That's why he's dying.
And a lot of shield pressure here for the San Francisco Shock. There'll be a Blizzard that comes in for the Dallas Fuel, but you may not be able to get any follow-up on it. It's a Maywall here from Rascal that keeps his teammates alive.
Paleontol just 20,000 years later discover 2 best friends frozen in Ice's embrace.
Nano Hanzo here.
That wall, man, that was so sick from Rascal. God, well, Dallas just look on like, well, can't think about that.
They just keep, they hook Trill in, they sleep him. Oh man, it has been.
Yeah, that sucks.
And I think this is Dallas. They're a team that been obviously not getting wins, but they've looked better as of recently. I think this just shows you how strong the San Francisco Shock are in this meta. Like,
it's a timely reminder for sure. Half the fuel couldn't get out of spawn because of that dragon, and that means Note just gets crunched. No protection whatsoever, no chance to take a breather. Zachary, very low. Nano boost on the main. Yeah, we'll take those. Zachary's able to stay alive at the very least, but here is the amplification matrix straight through that window. Moth guns AKM. See Closer sitting in the back there. That halt, yeah, ended him. Architect finds 2 very quick ones. Dragon Strike again. 2-in-1 fight. Thank you very much. We'll take the 2 minutes 26-second time bank and be on our way.
And even there, Mitch, where Harry Hook actually hits a really nice biotic grenade towards the end. Next 4 players. Moth has that immortality field down around the corner. They're able to just survive it. You see, I mean, they're just having a ton of fun, the Shock. I mean, they feel like they can come out and play whatever they feel like right now and get it done.
Architect in the final moments, with a smile to light up a room, this guy. I'm sure we're getting plenty of that right now. Shoot the feet. Equine Octogenarian will fall. Very nice clean out here from Architect. Yeah, it's looking great. Obviously, also it's worth bearing in mind, we haven't seen a lot of Super on the Orisa role. We've seen more of Smurf. Not really seeing any issues there right now.
No.
Smurf, I mean, Super's 2 deaths here. 16 eliminations, 1 final blow, so looking very solid.
Well, I think that's the difficult decision that they have to make with this team, right? Like Super, when we see Nimhin on the Orisa, he has looked good. Smurf has also looked much better on the Orisa as well. So towards the beginning of the season, they did like stage 1 really early on. They were playing Smurf like on a ball, on a lot of control points, and it was just not working out. And then they decided to play Super all the time, and then the Shock obviously go on their major run, but the team feels like both of those players on the Orisa maybe about equal skill level, so just trying to figure out how you want to proceed going into playoff time.
If you play this comp, Dallas, I won't even be mad.
No, I mean, we've seen them play in the past.
Reinhardt, Orisa.
They played like the Orisa Winston, but it was like on Paris on defense. Remember, they used to play this type of comp, so maybe you get the double shield pirate ship in there, why not? So,
yep, Orisa Reinhardt. So we've seen this for a couple teams in recent times. It's not really rocket science. It's get two people with shields and a bastion. So don't really need to take calculus to sort of figure out how to play.
Maywall from Haskell.
Bionate, he's in deep trouble. No way he's getting away with
What
that.
a Maywall,
Absolutely
dude.
ruined.
What a Maywall. He puts one, like a lot of teams we'll see they'll put like the Maywall horizontally, like he obviously alternates it, put it vertically straight down the middle, just launches the Bastion up in the sky. Nobody even able to make a play. That ruins Dallas's offensive push there, where now they have to switch off.
That wall's so nasty. Okay, I'm going to flinch every time he sees a snowflake. Completely took him out of the mix. And just great execution. That's an individual thing. Rascal goes, okay, I'm going to do this now. It's not really a comp thing. It's not like a setup.
It's also like preparation, right? Like kind of obviously knowing the exact situation and what you would want to do in said situation is Super's able to put the Harry hook, Trill falls, they get the res on a Harry, but they must have, you don't have a shield here, so.
I think Harry didn't expect him to be so close to the opening there. The Holt caught him out. Because Harry tried to play through the building on Choi Gobin's left. He's right now. He's left now. He's right now. Trying to find a frame of reference for some of these locations is hard. Not already at half yet. Choi Gobin just trying to see if anyone's going to try and get up on the high ground. Okay, AKM strikes. Gets rid of Architect. Is that a resable kill? It is. Moth brings it back. AKM will look to try and repeat that.
A double sniper for Dallas, so a lot of shield break.
Yeah. Architect is missing. AKM found him for a second time running, but that Blizzard has derailed things. Oh,
Choi Gobin with 3.
Great hook. Just fantastic catching the Mercy out like that. And note, dude from here, really. Choi Gobin hangs around for a little bit longer. Doesn't want to take too many more Hanzo shots. He's trying to get back in the building. That was nice. Yeah, good hold.
So Zachary's able to pick up a few kills during that sequence as well, which allows Dallas to start moving the cart. It's really AKM when we go off the beginning. Things off.
Architect, 0% critical hit accuracy, scope hit accuracy right now, so he's a little quieter on the Widow. AKM,
Moth goes right into the Dragon, barely makes it out alive.
Quite mobile, he can always correct some mispositioning errors if there's teammates nearby. That's a flank, no one was ready for that. Zachary and AKM are both dispatched, and that means the Dallas Fuel have only Bark and no Bite remaining. Maybe some Nay here as Trill is yoinked up.
Both damage dealers for the San Francisco Shock go on a flank. They're able to pick up some limbs. They're going to nano Trill as they want to keep this fight going.
Trill, I mean, he's definitely being pressured by a lot of people. AKM wins the 1v1 against Architect in the background, though. Zachary to Rascal, and there it is, another from AKM. Architect is back in the fight. Someone needs to shut down the rampant Frenchman, and soon. AKM's causing some problems here for the Shock. Another Architect, absolutely boomed by AKM 3 times in a row. Flying headshot, not enough of a charge up though to finish Rascal. He's able to.
They haven't been able to deal with the tanks and Rascal on the cart though, as AKM is really starting to pop off here on the Widowmaker, but they gotta push in, they gotta get something for it. They try and solo Blizzard him off to the side.
Oh, solo Blizzard for you, unreal respect.
Like Choi is
Genji for Architect, he's countering AKM. That is respect there. 24 seconds left though, and Dallas need a little bit more than respect. And pithy sayings from yours truly to get over the line.
Choi has just lived forever through this. They've not been able to take him out on the cart, but this is starting to look good for the Dallas Fuel.
Very much so. It's just Super here trying to hold down the fort, and AKM is clicking heads. He's up to 11 final blows now with 52% scope critical hit accuracy. That is extremely high.
Yes, he was really getting the better of Architect in that Widowmaker battle, as Architect has to switch over to Genji to try and pressure him out. But
oh, okay, bit of flare! And Architect gets the headshot with the shurikens.
Now they finally deal with him.
Yeah, and this gives the Shock that high ground to stage from. Had AKM managed to stay alive or get out alive, it'd be harder to do this. Architect skanks down the rooftop, dashes back to the high ground. Infrasight is in play right now, and still Zachary, with full information of where the Shock is standing, gets caught by Violet. There was a halt by the looks of things, so not much you can do. Super setting up some great halt kills here.
Architect's got Moth with him in this little bit of a mercy pocket, just trying to hunt some players down, farm some damage, try and get closer towards the Blade, but Supercharger for Super around the corner. That'll be another pick-off here for AKM, though.
Oh, man. We saw a pulse more attempt there from Zachary. Just didn't work, didn't connect. Architect. Oh, no, don't do it to the man! He had to do it to him! Zachary down the 1v1. Architect gonna duck away. You got a bionic grenade from his own Ana. He's ready to drop down once more. No, he's sleeping on the high ground, but still in good health.
They're just burning clock.
Yeah.
Like, this is just a scrappy fight. Like, players with the shock all over the place. That'll be a whole hog on the flank with a blizzard coming from the front side. And the shock trying to get like a team wipe here to reset everything.
That deep fake from Architect was good. He kind of had to guess what direction the Tracer would be coming from. And Trichobi got resurrected, so this is not over for the shock. In fact, they can win it. 51 seconds remaining, and Dallas are starting to run out of gas.
Yeah, Valkyrie plus Supercharger here available for the San Francisco Shock. They'll be looking, trying to put things away here. Supercharger available. AKM switches over to Sombra. So you're going to have Sombra Tracer in terms of your damage dealers, which usually played with a little bit more flanker or diver tanks, but you're going to have the Orisa in play. That'll be Harry Hook who gets slept coming out.
It's going to be another 6 seconds off the clock here. Zachary dropping down. Here comes the supercharge. Both teams use it. Super puts a supercharger on that right side. It's going to be hard for Dallas to see it, to try and take it down. Whereas Rascal just goes behind and gets rid of Trills. Damage advantage here now for the Shock.
They're allowing him to just sit on the high ground here. Farm Blade.
Yeah. Could even be a Nano Blade if Violet keeps this up. Here it comes. Oh, he feints it. Dashes to the high ground. I like that. Although, I mean, there was nothing too bait out. There is, I guess, the Valkyrie from closer. It's got to be now, though. Got to go for the Blade. Who we got? AKM is the first. Trill is the second. Who's next for the Edsman's Axe? I can explain times out just before he can get the finish on the Mercy, but it's already over. Or is it? Zachary back in. Gets the kill on Violet. Not going to get desuited here and closer. Sucked in, though, with that whole hog now to force away Trill. Even though he gets super, he might still be struggling. No, tries to stall things out on the payload for a little bit longer, but Trichobi just takes a breather and the cold winds blow through. San Francisco complete the clean sweep. The 4-0. And I'll be honest with you, everybody. They make it look easy. The Dallas Fuel are in dire straits.
It's the Shock. I think cement their place at the top of everybody's power rankings right now as they continue to get wins in a big way. It really doesn't even matter what roster they put out there.
Even the referee knew that was nasty. He's holding his nose.
Yeah, they're able to play whichever combination of damage dealers or tanks and get the job done.
Dallas Fuel, I mean, I would say it would be a wake-up call. They've had a couple of tough games like this. I think, though, they're starting to definitely feel like they're getting rolling after that matchup against the Gladiators, but this is a different beast. This is a completely different kind of opponent in the Shock, and it doesn't matter who you're playing. And also, this challenges the narrative. A couple people have been popping up with this idea, like maybe Super isn't good enough at Orisa to be in the main roster right now. You know? I don't necessarily believe that's the case. It definitely feels like Smurf getting an opportunity, you know, being rewarded for chilling on that bench, still working on his abilities. And who knows, the Shock like to sub their players in important matches. Maybe we start seeing more of Super, more of Sinatra when we get towards the playoffs, which the Shock are definitely going to be a part of.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they have a plan regarding a lot of these players and what they want to do with them.
You can rest them as well. You've already secured. This is why I don't understand people. You've already secured your playoff spot. You can rest these players.
Yeah.
Everyone on the internet, that doesn't mean they're not good.
Yeah, for all you know, they wanted to just give like Super and Sinatra a few weeks off, let them get some, you know, rest, because they've been grinding out the whole season. You don't really know what's going on with the Shock.
Last year, New York rested their players while they were playing games still. At least the Shock's players can rest on the bench. We're going to play of the match to talk about, though, here in just a moment. I think it's a pretty easy choice for us. Your player of the match presented to you by Omen by HP is Architect.
He was lights out today.
Dazzling smile, just a tour de force in the DPS slot. Playing a lot of Pharah, right? A riskier pick against teams in this current meta and getting a lot of success.
He'll play the, you know, the Pharah, the Widowmaker, Reaper, just Hanzo as well. Just can play so many different heroes at a high level. You saw the Widowmaker at the end there. AKM, he's losing some of those battles. What does he do? He just goes right over to the Genji. He's able to put in work on Genji, but the Pharah, I think he really made a difference today.
Yeah. And even Barrage kills, that 4K Barrage is... So when you get into 4 kills, that's kind of like, okay, that's pretty extraordinary. Not often it happens. Without an Anubis, quite often, a 1-for-1 is the best you can hope for, even less at that. So, you know, choosing his timing very well. He seems to have an understanding of when his opponents are actually not in a great position to mitigate that damage or punish him for that. And then he can go aggressive. Nano boost or not, he's able to do work.
Yeah, and this win for the Shock, obviously, you know, doesn't really move them up the standings, as they're really kind of extremely close to the top. They have a chance to maybe pass NYXL, but because NYXL is the Atlantic division, they would hold that number 2 spot.
That's right.
The Shock moved to 20 and 5. The Dallas Fuel, they keep on sliding. They go down to 10 and 15, a minus 19.
Now
in the map differential, the Valiant had a stage where they didn't win a game.
Yep.
And they have more wins than the Fuel right now.
That's right. The Fuel are not mathematically eliminated, but in this universe, with the balance of probability that we sort of observed in the Overwatch League, it's probably not happening for them now.
Not looking good.
They'd be best served for setting their sights to sort of making their very large and very loud fan base happy in 2020. It's been a pleasure. What a match. You still see the Shock looking strong, but coming up next is another curious one. Now, all of our analysts have predicted the Guangzhou Chuds to beat the NYXL, which is pretty crazy. With the Charger on the rise, New York look a bit shakier. They also fell off the map a little bit this time last year. So let's see who comes out on top in that match right after these messages.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.